Honorable One, the Success Scholar, Keisha me here. Thank you all for tuning in, listening in. Uh, I wanted to do this piece, and I was going to entitle this "Why the RBGs, NOI, the Urban League, and the NAACP certainly should be interested in this FBI war on Tupac, Shakur, and Black leaders." Um, Being a researcher myself, the last one to bring Steve Coakley to Baltimore before he transitioned, as well as one that hosted Dr. Francis Chris Wilson and had over 350 people in the Baltimore area. I felt that it was certainly my duty as I look around and see much of the violence that's happening within Baltimore, places like Chicago, and many urban environments. I felt that I needed to raise the consciousness as well as develop a conversation of why these things are happening. And unfortunately, many of the leaders of today, be it Black media, be it conscious organizations or the civil rights organizations, unfortunately, they have not dug deep enough into the causes of many of the violence that is happening within our community. And so, it's been quite some time, in terms of me going that deep, and I realized that I'm not able to go, particularly deep, as well as stay, occupationally and economically viable, doing what I need to do occupationally to stay proficient. So I realized that my knowledge and my skills, though broad and have general good understandings of a variety of topics, I realized that I had to reach out for other individuals that can bring some pieces. And as me as the moderator, I could judge. I'm sorry, I could bring up some things that's deep in my mind of why things are happening. For instance, within our community, and this is why, for instance, this conversation is I have a DVD here, the FBI War, Tupac and Other Black Leaders, and it's going to be revealing. It's certainly going to be revealing to many individuals who consider themselves activists or consider themselves, even business individuals. I was just reading something in another book that talked about how, for instance, the Urban League during the 40s and 50s weren't able to buy property, and this was due to some of the, these intelligence agencies saying we don't want them to own this, or, so this goes beyond just the so-called radical conversation. And if you would read, for instance, Agents of Repression, or the other book, and I have that somewhere, but the FBI War on Black America from 1972 to 2000. That's the name of the book. It talks about some of these different organizations that many individuals, and not necessarily acting under any official policy, they just took it upon themselves to do things how they feel. How they feel about certain organizations, not necessarily always an official policy. Some, just how people are a little loose about some things. So again, I think that this conversation, and certainly so-called Black media, who I've sent this to, several different, print as well as radio hosts, and they have not responded yet. There has been a response from WPFW 89.3 FM in the DC area, which is one of the most progressive perhaps one of the only progressive stations in the DC area, since, you know, they responded to this valuable, insightful bringing together of several different forces, those in the film industry, those in the hip hop industry. As you know, we got people from Philadelphia all the way down to Virginia, and in between, 5 pounds, the college professor, and as well as the author of this book. And, you know, so I'm just like, you know, for you know, these organizations, as well as Black media, you know, to not even, you know, promote it, you know, it just sends a disservice. It just shows that they're disconnected to the time. You know, they don't have the pulse of the people, and they're not seizing the time that the masses of our people, or a large core portion of our people, have a heightened awareness. So now is the time to dig deeper into the whole, you know, industry that is controlling, you know, the minds of tens and thousands and millions of young people. So, you know, when we say that we're going to dig into the hip hop industry, we're going to dig into the film industry, and we're going to bring out the role of the intelligence agency. Just like in DC, for instance, there was an organization set up, you know, by intelligence agencies. Now, I got a problem with that, you know, because they started engaging in illicit activities. You know, they were running guns and doing drugs. And I'm just like, you know, is this like entrapment, you know, or, you know, are people coerced into certain types of behavior? So I'm saying this is the most relevant, conscious conversation when we talk about the whole school to prison pipeline. You know, when we talk about the film 13th, right? When we talk about you know, the new Jim Crow, right? You know, it all boils down to certain dynamics that happen historically. So he got a picture of Huey P. Newton on here, Malcolm, Dr. King, Bobby Seale, many different individuals that, you know, had a variety of political orientations, but, you know, sometimes people in these positions of authority, they abuse their authority, and they want to, you know, entrap people. They want to, you know, get an advancement, so they do things that, you know, are not necessarily in line with the law or what's, you know, appropriate for our community. So so we need individuals that, you know, are true leaders to share this, of course, and as well as share the flyer. If you don't know, post your email or inbox me your email so I can send it, or you can text me at 410-209-9687. Again, 410-209-9687. But, you know, I mean, some of these organizations, they just have people in them that, you know, are not necessarily working to our full potential. And sometimes individuals have to take an independent stand, like I did for years. Even though I was involved with several different organizations, I never, ever just allowed for some organizational leader to define the scope of my thoughts, the scope of my ideas. That becomes a cult, you know, and we don't need no political, or we don't need any conscious cults or conscious cult leaders that actually that can't see what's happening and position, you know, position the right information so that you know, our young people can get a grasp. Like one of the sisters on the panel, she's very excited to have her young Black male come to this event, because many of them are influenced, whether we like it or not, whether we choose to. They're influenced by, you know, hip hop music, and some of us don't even have control over what our children listen to. And so we you know, we got to understand who's programming, who's up top. the chain of command. Why do they do the things that they do, right? You know, why do they put out certain types of music, right? And who do they partner with? So, yeah, this is going to be, you know, some serious research that's been done. And, you know, I just think that, you know, it's unfortunate that many in Black media have not exposed the masses of people to this. You know, many of these organizations, NOI, the so-called RBGers, the Black media, certainly those in the DMV, those that consider themselves conscious, you know, they have failed. They failed at this time. And so, you know, it's time for real leaders to address certain things. You know, it's time for those that have an interest. Now, some people, they don't appreciate even what Dr. King, some folks walking around thinking that they made it because of themselves, not because of the people that struggled, you know, and gave their life at particular times. So they don't understand the ramifications of history and how these people held a particular line. You know, they took certain unpopular positions so that we could have basic human rights, basic civil rights. And so, you know, when we look at an institution or institutions that many of us are actually in, you know, civil service, various levels of law enforcement, you know, I think that it is opportune time to allow, you know, because I'm not able to articulate as well as, you know, some of the panelists have done. They have some various levels of independence of ideas and research. They have time to research these issues. So, you know, but I'll add on to what I know, certainly to what I know. But I'm saying when these Black media, these Black organizations, these Black institutions, as well as these conscious speakers, I haven't seen any of them actually, you know, even attempt to do a panel, you know, with someone as relevant as Tupac in our history, you know, however we see, but we got to understand the role. And now, you know, you got Donald Trump on the same day that the Tupac film came out, you know, he's talking about bringing in Assata Shakur, you know, by calling him by name. So it's just like, wow. So you know, other folk are looking at these issues. Who's guiding these people, telling them to make these statements at these particular times? So we got to understand that, you know, people are still trying to control you. Still, you know, many people are on the plantation, and it's unfortunate that if you're a part of some of these different organizations and you don't show up, you don't promote because you have a certain feeling about some people, you're going to keep knowledge and information away from individuals within our community. And I've never been one to do that. You know, for years, many of these different organizations, you know, I've supported on different levels, given money to many of these different organizations over the years, you know, and supported their events when they had an educational forum. You know, I've been there. I've invited my supporters and followers to come to some of these different events. You know, I didn't, you know, discriminate or say I'm not in that, or I'm not making more money from it, or, you know. So, you know, it's unfortunate that many of us are trained by these different leaders, these so-called conscious RBGers, to only show up when it's them speaking, when they can't know everything. They're not everywhere. You know, they're not, you know, and I haven't seen them. If they were true leaders at this particular time, you know, they would certainly, you know, they would have looked at, you know, they would have knew who the particular people are that need to talk about this discussion. So I'm saying that at this particular time, you know, I'm utilizing my little platform, grassroots organizing, you know, going around with the flyers. You know, we may have an interview on WPFW, and, you know, I'm going into a studio today, Listen Vision across from Howard University. So I'll be there today at 2 o'clock. You know, so some people have opened up opportunities, but I had to make that happen. You know, I'll be at a church on Tuesday, 6:30 to 8:30. I'll be speaking there. And I mean, you know, so I'm gonna add on to that with that speaking about some other things, but I'm going to definitely invite the people to this conversation. So again, July the 23rd, 1 to 4 p.m. At Everlasting Life, where I do my radio show each and every Monday, 8 p.m., elifemedia.net. So I have over 70 different, 80 perhaps by now, maybe about 70 different interviews that I've done with several different, scholars and thinkers and builders over the years, over last year. So, definitely got a lot of content out here and on the eLife Media site. So, here's the thing. I already know that traditional radio is dying. Traditional radio is dying. But, I know grandma and grandpa, they still, and many elders are still, and I still, when I'm driving around, I'll tune into some different stations. But I'm saying today, unfortunately, that many of them, they have failed our community. They failed to get the most relevant practical knowledge into the hands of our people. And so when I see that they haven't supported something, an event like this, whether they are in Baltimore, the so-called conscious people in Baltimore that they do little lectures or whatever, but they never ever promote anything, and they don't show up to any events that's not theirs. You don't see them anywhere. You don't see them anywhere in the Baltimore area. You see me. You see me. I can go in different places in Baltimore and be respected, because I've put in the work and I've raised, I've given, I've offered, I've added value to the people, brought the relevant knowledge, did the right research, connected to the right individuals. And this is why, for instance, in places like, Prince George's County, things are popping, so I'm reaching down and connecting the dots to individuals that are, conscious and waking up, individuals that want to be healthy and holistic and, gather the right intel. So this is what I'm saying. This is the most sophisticated operation that we have an opportunity to expand, on this conversation. So I'm going to deputize you as a leader, right? I'm going to deputize those who are conscious enough, that are intelligent enough, that are sophisticated enough, that are organized enough to pay attention to what I'm dropping, and this the potential for this operation. I mean, many of us are walking zombies. We go to the movies. Oh, that was a good movie, but you ain't touched the surface. You didn't touch the surface of what's going on with these in this music industry, in this film industry. So we're gonna reveal a lot of that. FBI Warren, Tupac, and other Black leaders. We got John Patashi, who wrote this book. That was Chris talking about. FBI Warren, Tupac, as well as Dr. Jared Barr. He's a professor at Morgan State. We got Sister Uri Squires. She's a film producer, No More Chains. So she's gonna, have her talk about breaking the chains of psychological enslavement and, the negatives of various types of addictions. I'm sorry, let me go back to Brother Jared Barr. We did a Malcolm X Day in Baltimore. You would think that some of these so-called Black media who pretend that they are progressive, and some of these that have these conscious events, you think that they would come, or at least, promote, like, you ain't doing nothing. You didn't honor our great shining prince on his birthday. So, support those that do. Some folks, even those folks that go up to New York every single year, but like, what are you doing in your community? What are you doing at home on the front line? You want to travel and do a ritual, but what are you doing every single day, right? Are you showing up at the right place? Are you gathering the right intel? Are you sharing the right intel with the community? Are you calling out these, so-called Black media for failing us? Many of them, they didn't even promote the film Black Friday, just something basic, talking about Black wealth. That's all right, but I'll be in part 2. So, I know folk ain't gonna like that, but just get your mind right, get your health right, and your mind will be right. That's what happened. You gotta feel good about yourself. You have to love yourself. Stop, being a statistic, right? Stop being mind controlled zombie. And that's what we're gonna talk about. We're gonna talk about the MK Ultra program, that many people, uh, uh, you know, are under the influence of. So we're gonna deal with that. So again, who else we got? We got Sister Shinyeri Wright out of Baltimore music scene. So I'm gonna have her adding on. Tupac was from Baltimore. Well, he wasn't from, but he lived in Baltimore at a particular time. So many, I'm not gonna say many of the artists knew that, he didn't necessarily represent Baltimore, a whole lot, but it was his adolescent years, part of his schooling at the Baltimore School of the Arts. So some of his crafts and talents were developed there. So we're gonna, add not just a historic context, but developmental, going into, for instance, if people want to go into the arts, to that extent, film and hip hop, how do they develop independent distribution? How do they finance and not be controlled and not get caught up into the system? See, this is about the future, not just reminiscent historical, yay, hoorah, hoorah type session that many of these, these different groups want to, revise history and write people that's doing the work today out. That's what many of these, older people, radio hosts, they want to write people out that's doing the work. They don't want to promote the things that's happening today, the scholars, the builders, the workers, the thinkers, the doers, the visionaries of today that's taking a calculated risk to bring these different relevant forces together. So I'm saying that we're gonna, talk about Sister Eric Squires has had tremendous success with her film. Big successful sister with the Baltimore music scene. She does a hip hop awards type of thing in Baltimore every year. So we're gonna expand that conversation. So I'm saying I need you all. We're gonna partner, collaborate in the Prince George's County area, because many of these folks in Prince George's County, their children, they have no control over their children. Their children are listening to this music. I recall. Let me tell you. Let me just give you some experience, because some folk, they read about Prince George's County, and I recall, there was a case where a sister and her little child, 17, 18 years old, they were calling themselves the Upper Marlboro Estate Boys, calling themselves the Upper Marlboro Estate Boys, trying to mimic what they see, what the urban culture of what they see, right? Because there's no black men that are representing in their environments. Not everyone comes from a single parent household. No discussion around that. But I'm saying that people gravitate towards this is a culture now. It's part of the whole American culture. Who was I talking to? Brother Major Boyd, and he was talking about some little Koreans, some little Korean children were like driving up where he lives or something, or I don't know if you're talking about New Orleans or where, but they were bumping some kind of hip hop music, and he thought it was like some little black children. So this is a global phenomenon, but they are listening to black people's music. So I'm saying that we're going to bring some intelligent people together. I was just at the African American Film Festival in Miami, and as well as NNPA, just here at NNPA conference, Dr. Ben Chavis, and let me give a condolence to his wife for transitioning. I'm sorry, Reva, I believe her name is Reva Chavis. So let me just say that, but he has worked with the hip hop community over time with several artists over the years. So I wanted to get with him before I actually did this, but I wasn't able to make that connection. But I know he's going to be busy over the next few weeks, so I may not be able to get to him before we actually do this. But I want to bring this panel up as well as add that understanding, because we got to control the media, and that means conscious media. That don't mean individuals that have an agenda, an obstructionist agenda to obstruct certain people, particularly those people that are younger than them, that are doing relevant work. I will never block a younger person that has talent and skills and doing the relevant work. And this is where conscious, intelligent, sophisticated media and true leaders are able to come to the table and see what who's doing particular relevant, practical, empowering work. And so I'm saying, again, many people may not necessarily understand or appreciate the gravity or the severity of this this particular event, but I'm saying I already see it. I already know the gravity of the transformational knowledge that's going to be revealed, because many people are just walking around, they're ignorant of these facts. They're ignorant of these facts, and unfortunately, even black media that's controlled outside of our community, they're not going to raise up, some of these conversations, as progressive as many of them pretend that they are, as conscious as many of them pretend that they are, as scholarly as many of them pretend that they are. They're not, for real. They're not reaching the true scholars, the true workers, the true builders that are doing the relevant conscious work within our community. And so I'm saying, again, you all need to subscribe, you need to like, you need to share this, have this conversation and invite individuals. Again, Sunday, July 23rd, 1, I'm about to do my show, 1 to 4 p.m. at Everlasting Life and Capitol Heights, Maryland. So it's going to we mixing it up. So I know, I'm not doing things on YouTube and, working behind the scenes. And yes, thanks WPFW. Well, the interview hasn't happened thus far, but yes, you should call WPFW, and you should call these other so-called radio stations, black radio stations that say they progressive, say they are working for the people. But I realize that people have an agenda and they have their likes, but sometimes their likes, they're like people that they like. They're not doing the relevant conscious work. They're not doing the right intelligent work. This is the right intelligent work for this time. Have a professor at Morgan State. He can give us a dynamic of how he see things in the media. He's been on PFW. He's been on 88.9 some years ago. Dr. Jared Ball. As well as the sister Uri, who went to the Black Film Festival, has a film out, No More Chains. And so I'm saying, this game just gonna change for me, so, I'm gonna raise the bar. I'm definitely gonna raise the bar, and, I'm gonna keep on with the relevant conscious knowledge. We're gonna build some true institutions and, create some industries, create and control various types of media, films, and as well as capture some of those that are in the hip hop industry in both the Baltimore as well as in the Prince George's County area. So that's the move that we need to make. This is some of the discussions that Dr. Benjamin Chavis has had over the years, but I'm saying why or shouldn't the RBG, the NOIs, the NAACP, the urban leagues, many of these, conscious leaders, the Kemetic peoples or the Hebrew folk, the Moors, all of these groups or individuals certainly have been affected by various types of intelligence agencies, intelligence operations, and hip hop industry. You got Moors and Hebrews now trying to rap to get people to listen to their message. So I'm saying that we don't want people that's going to be entrapped. I should have had some legal counsel at this. But unfortunately, we won't be able to do that at this time. But we need some legal individuals that can persuade individuals to stop building the prison industrial complex. And I just read in Professor Griffith's book how, and you all who are conscious, that there was a conversation with the media industry and the prison industry where they met to say that they wanted to promote gangsterism to get young people to be locked up and incarcerated. Now, whether that meeting was authenticated or fabricated, I don't know, but I can't authenticate it. I wasn't there. I didn't see it. I heard or read some particular things about it, but can't point to one person. I haven't seen one person say I was there, I saw it, I heard it. But I do know, that even NOI at a particular time, one of the Saviors Day, one of the artists was there, said that the execs wanted him to rap about a particular type of tone and temperament and thuggishness, shall I say, just making it plain. He wanted to talk. He said, I can't do that. I can't do that. I'm in the nation now. I can't, I can't sound like that. And they, and so what happens with the industry, for instance, and this is what, I want both individuals, the sister as well as John and Brother Jared, certainly to deal, and Brother Hakeem. We got the brother from Black and Nobel who works with several different music and hip hop type of artists. They always up in Black and Nobel. He shipped much of his books. He's the largest black book wholesaler or distributor to the prison. We ship the prisons.com. So we got some folk, out of Philly who has worked with Matulu and Mia campaign, so I'm saying that we're bringing, all these powerful, forces to the table, all these powerful forces to the table on July 23rd from 1 to 4 p.m. So I'm saying, you all need to be there. You all need to tell somebody to be there, just 2 weeks away from today, 2 Sundays from now. So we're gonna drop some good knowledge, some real practical knowledge for those that are in the arts and entertainment industry, because this industry is controlling the minds, the masses, the minds of young people. And this is, I see it not just from what I read, but I've experienced it as well coming up in the streets of Baltimore. So I know the power of how music influenced individuals' consciousness and creates a certain type of mindset. And this is where, and it's unfortunate that many black professionals, they're gonna look at something like this and turn up their noses while their children out, with their children out throwing up gang signs when they're not looking, and they have no idea what their children are listening to. And so I'm saying that, you all who think that you have arrived and either you got to come or you got to send your children. You have to come or you have to send your child so they can understand what they're listening to. No one else is doing anything like this, and certainly in the whole DMV. And I don't see anybody doing anything like it in the country. And it would have been nice if some of these organizations, who I know, I sent some contact to some individuals, but that's why they don't have a sophisticated intelligence gathering operation, because I put the content in strategic places. And so unfortunately many black media have failed. They failed to expand on this relevant conscious work that's being done. And so I'm saying we're gonna have to bypass them. Fortunately, I understand a little and more about social media as well as independent radio, and this is what we've been doing in eLife. I have over 70 shows with several amazing authors, speakers, activists, scholars that I've had over time. So we just gonna bypass them. We need, for conscious people, we're gonna have to begin to support more conscious independent radio, independent voices, independent visions, independent live streams, independent, conscious, intelligent, healthy, holistic YouTube channels, right? So we're not just, you know, allowing ourselves to be enslaved by so-called black media that's really not black, that's really truly keeping our people closed to different information. So that's all I have to say. Notice it was a little long, but you know, had to drop some serious, you know, views and opinions here. So stay tuned in. Holla at the Success Scholar. I'm out.